wonderful day. I am so delighted to be with you, our dear learners. I am Teacher Joanne and I'm very excited to bring you today's lesson. So put your mind, ready your heart, and brace yourselves as we explore the world of English.
Sometimes you won't understand every word in a sentence. One thing you can do to figure out new words is to use context clues. You probably use context clues all the time, maybe without even realizing it. Think about the last time you came across an unfamiliar word while reading. What did you do? Did you Google it? Or ask someone what it meant? Maybe, or just maybe, you figured out what it meant all on your own. How? With context clues. What are context clues? Context clues are hints that surround an unfamiliar word and help define its meaning. Because most of your vocabulary is gained through reading, it is important that you will be able to recognize and take advantage of context clues. Context clues are bits of information from the text that, when combined with prior knowledge, allow you to decide the meaning of unknown words in the story you are reading. As a reader, you must act similar to a detective and put together clues from sentences surrounding an unknown word in order to make an intelligent guess as to what the definition of a word is. There are 5 basic types of context clues. Think of the word ideas. Ideas stands for inference, definition, example, antonym, and synonym. Let's begin with inference. In inference, the meaning of an unfamiliar word can be inferred or guessed from the description of a situation. The keyword here is guessed. When you infer, you are somewhat making an intelligent guess based on the sentence that you have read. There are no specific clues or signal words in this type of context clue. You just have to look for clues over several words or sentences. Let's have some examples. The sound of the guitar was amplified when it was hooked up to the speaker. What word in the sentence is unfamiliar to you? Amplified. In order to figure out the meaning of the unfamiliar word amplified, you must find a hint or a clue from the words in the sentence that surround the unknown word. The context clues here are sound and was hooked up to the speaker. Through these context clues, we may infer that the meaning of amplified is expanded or increased. Another example, Carla is quite versatile. She is a good student, a top athlete, and a graceful dancer. What word in the sentence is unfamiliar to you? Versatile. In order to figure out the meaning of the unfamiliar word versatile, you must find a hint or a clue from the words in the sentence that surrounds the unknown word. The context clues here are she is a good student, a top athlete, and a graceful dancer. Through these context clues, we may infer that the meaning of versatile is multi-talented. The next type of context clue is definition. In this type of context clue, the meaning of an unknown word is directly or explicitly given in the sentence. Sometimes, a word's meaning is explained immediately after its use. The signal words for this type of context clue are is or are cold, is or are known as, is defined as, means, and refers to. Let's have some examples. Number 1. Sedentary individuals, people who are not very active, often have poor health. What word in this sentence is unfamiliar to you? Sedentary. In this sentence, the meaning of the word sedentary is explained immediately after its use. According to this sentence, the meaning of sedentary individuals are people who are not very active, often have poor health. In other words, sedentary means little or no physical activity. Number 2. A ship that can travel under the surface of the ocean is a submarine. What word in this sentence is unfamiliar to you? Submarine. In this sentence, the meaning of the word submarine is given. It is a ship that can travel under the surface of the ocean. Through the context clues in the sentence, you will be able to figure out that submarine is a type of ship that can travel below the surface of the sea. The third type of context clue is example. In this type of context clue, examples or additional explanations are given to help the readers understand the unfamiliar word. Sometimes, when a reader finds a new word, an example might be found nearby that helps to explain its meaning. Words like for example, for instance, including, and such as point out example clues. Let's have the sentences. The children were able to observe several crustaceans, including crabs, lobsters, and shrimp. What word in this sentence is unfamiliar to you? Crustaceans. In this sentence, specific examples are used to define the term crustaceans. What are these examples? These are crabs, lobsters, and shrimp. The word including signals that an example is being used as type of context clue. Through the context clues in the sentence, you will be able to figure out that crustaceans are water animals with hard shells and several pair of legs. Number 2. The student was suffering from anxiety. For example, when he first saw the test, he began to tremble. What word in this sentence is unfamiliar to you? Anxiety. When he first saw the test, he began to tremble is an example of the things that might happen to students who are suffering from anxiety. The word for example signals that an example is being used as type of context clue. Through the context clues in the sentence, you will be able to figure out that anxiety means unease, worry, or fear. Let us move on to the fourth type of context clue, which is antonym. In this type of context clue, words or phrases that provide the opposite meaning of an unknown word is used in the sentence. Sometimes, the best way to understand something is to understand what not to do or what something isn't. In the same way, an antonym or an opposite can convey meaning. The signal word for this type of context clue are but, however, although, otherwise, unless, on the contrary, and a lot more. Let us have some examples. Fiona is gregarious, unlike her sister, who is quiet and shy. What word in this sentence is unfamiliar to you? Gregarious. In this sentence, through the signal word unlike, we could determine that the context clues quiet and shy contrast or oppose the meaning of an unfamiliar word. If quiet and shy are opposite of gregarious, we may conclude that the meaning of gregarious is sociable or outgoing. Number 2. This painting of the landscape is picturesque, while the one of the old house is just plain ugly. What word in this sentence is unfamiliar to you? Picturesque. In this sentence, through the signal word while, we could determine that the context clue just plain ugly contrasts or oppose the meaning of the unfamiliar word. If ugly is an opposite of picturesque, we may conclude that the meaning of this word is beautiful or attractive. Now, the last type of context clue that we are going to discuss is synonym. It explains unfamiliar words in text by restating them in simpler terms or by using synonyms. The most basic and perhaps helpful type of context clues are synonyms. If you can't decipher a meaning, adding a few synonyms or words with similar meanings is a surefire way to point to a word's meaning. The clues for this type of context clue are commas, semicolon, dashes, parentheses, and sometimes signal words that is, or, and in other words. Let's have some examples. After seeing the picture of the starving children, we felt compassion or pity for their suffering. What word in this sentence is unfamiliar to you? Compassion. In this sentence, the word pity tells us that compassion means to have pity or understanding for. Number 2. The minuscule and tiny puppy had a difficult time walking up the large stairs. What word in this sentence is unfamiliar to you? Minuscule. Minuscule and tiny have similar meanings, so they are synonyms. If you know what tiny means, you can conclude that minuscule means very small. There you have it. Those are the important things that you have to know about context clues. Now, let us have a quick activity to test what you have learned. You will identify the context clue that helps define the underlined words in each of the following sentences. Then, determine the type of context clue used. Inference, definition, example, antonym or synonym. Number 1. Miguel was very loquacious. He really loved to talk. Is it A. Shy, B. Quiet, C. Talkative, D. Proud? The answer is talkative. What kind of context clue is this? Yes, it's synonym. Number 2. I saw the entomologist, a scientist who studies insects, cradle the giant dung beetle in her palm. A. A person who studies insects. B. A person who eats insects. C. A doctor. D. An artist. Correct. A person who studies insects. And what kind of context clue is this? Definition context clue. Number 3. Bernard was jubilant when he got the news. Before he found out, he was depressed with the blues. A. Scared. B. Sad. C. Frustrated. D. Happy. Correct. Jubilant means happy. And this is what kind of context clue? Yes, antonym. Number 4. Bats, owls, raccoons, and crickets are chiefly nocturnal creatures. What is the meaning of nocturnal? A. Active at morning. B. Active at night. C. Active every day. D. Active once a day. Correct. Nocturnal means active at night. What kind of context clue was used? Correct. Example context clue. Finally, number 5. Katie's belligerence surprised everyone. She threw her book across the room, glared at Chris, and then pushed him to the floor. What do we mean by belligerence? A. Pleasant. B. Scary. C. Aggressive. D. Enthusiastic. Correct. Belligerence means aggressive. And the context clue that is used in here is inference.
Congratulations, children! You did a great job in today's class. This has been Teacher Joanne, your English teacher for the day, saying, we care, we share, for the future we prepare. See you next time. Bye!